Alright. Let's run the
Prediction: one using the Bible to support genocide.
The moment we stop pursuing the truth is the very moment we opened up the door for the destruction of society in ways we cannot even begin to imagine.
One eternity later. A few moments later.
My name is James Cadiz, and this is my story. I grew up in Southern California. My mom and my dad were both born and raised in Egypt. They immigrated from Egypt legally. My mother and father absolutely left their country so that they could have a better life for them and their children and for future generations. The childhood that my mom and my dad gave me was extraordinary. I have an older brother, a younger sister, and a younger brother. Arabic was the second language that we spoke in our home. It was the language that my mom and my dad spoke to one another. So as children, of course, we all spoke it. My dad's father was a pastor in Egypt for 65 years, and my mother's father was a Baptist minister for 35 years in Egypt. I told my dad, oh, shut the fuck up! Walking with the Lord, I just felt like this real need in my heart to just share my faith with somebody. And so that made me realize, yeah, this is what have all of a sudden become subject matter experts in the Middle East. These college students realize, yeah, this is what I'm called to do. I became a pastor 31 years ago, and I love it, and I love every minute of what I do. People have understand what's really happening. By the way, can I just make this one comment? I think it's really important to say this. Did you know that the first Palestinians that ever existed in Israel were actually Jews? Like, when you start talking about early Roman history, okay? Near the time when the Roman society started falling apart, the leader of the Roman Empire did not like the idea that there were Jews that were still in the area that we know as Israel. So he actually renamed that area Palestina. That was the Roman word that was named after the Israelis' ancient enemies, the ancient enemies of the Jews, who were what? The Philistines. So when they started calling people Palestinians, it was mockery to the Jews. So if you want to talk about Palestinians being in the land first, they were in the land first. They're right, they were Jews. My family back in Egypt, they were taught to love Israel and to love...
I don't think I ever need to give a rebuttal to what he's saying because it's the stupidest argument ever. Saying that's what the Bible says. No, it isn't. I'm pretty sure there's no verse in the Bible which says that it's okay to kill or mass genocide another group of people. Whatever he says is stupid. Whatever he says is moot. There is no point because what he says is irrelevant. Okay, he's just trying to justify mass killing.
Growing up in New York, you could say I was a default liberal. My political opinions, to the extent I had them, weren't deeply thought out. They just were. My philosophy was live and let live. Say what you want, do what you want. Just don't physically harm or abuse another person.
He's just a chill guy, bro. Just a chill guy.
He'd not really care about anything. But I'm tired of trying to be someone that I'm not.
For me and my friends, race was never more than a punchline to a joke. After graduating from college, I got my dream job as an engineer at a major toy company, Hasbro. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction.
Okay, so the predictions are working. Okay, the first one is done.
And then one day, the company decided that all the engineers would have to attend a training session on implicit bias, racial awareness, and intersectionality. This was my introduction to the mad, mad world of corporate DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. When I heard about the session, I rolled my eyes. All I wanted to do was make cool toys for kids.
I want you to think of something right now that makes you happy.
I'd play along.
That thing you see, the thing that lights you up,
literally.
Chase that.
So there I was on a
With
Zoom
all of
call
your
with a bunch
soul,
of other employees
chase
listening
it.
to a DEI presentation
Because it's
entitled
easy to
Racial
brush
Biases
off
and
life's
Children.
potential.
Children hold racial
And I'm not
biases,
trying to say
adults
that life
maybe,
is easy.
but Hasbro's clientele?
In fact,
It struck me as a little
I'd argue that the only
voice
way
in my head said I should record the session. The presenters, a husband and wife team, started by claiming white babies as young as 3 months began to exhibit racial preferences. By 2 years, they're excluding other children based on race. By 3, they're intentionally using racist language. By 4, they're showing a strong and consistent pro-white, anti-black bias. And by 5, they hold the same racist biases as their parents. You think most 5-year-olds are innocent. These presenters think they're auditioning for the KKK.
Oh, hell no!
These mind readers added.
Okay, this is what's important, right? DEI, diversity, equity. Is it equality or equity? Equity, inclusion. The goal was great, right? The goal was great, but the issue was the execution, right? Because this is the thing, right? The way they enforced DEI, the way they had DEI in companies was in a really, really bad way. For example, right, in the hiring process, let's take 5 people, right? One white, black, brown, and some other groups. Okay, so if we take probability wise, right, the white guy, since there's only white guy, his probability is affected more compared with the other people. Why? Because there are more white people in the hiring process in general. So that will unfairly affect the white guy because his probability of getting hired is less compared to the colored people. So it makes sense that people are upset. So how can we solve this problem, Ray? How can we solve this? Let's say there are 10 people and we perfectly map the people who are hired or the population into the probability. So let's say we take 7 white people and 2 black people and 1 brown people. But then when you do that, it might cause the opposite effect, right? So you might hire less colored people than you intended to. So it's really a tricky solve, right? Because with DEI, and that's the issue. But the problem is he's trying to paint it as some kind of really bad thing, some kind of enemy. But I'm trying to paint it as it's like something we can improve on rather than it totally being abolished. We totally can improve on this. Somebody must make an equation or something to improve on DEI, but I don't think it's as serious or as crazy as this guy makes it out to be. That's the difference.
Oh, I've been married a long time ago. Would you to come from?
Okay. I think this might be my last video. Okay, this might be my last video. I can't do this, bro. America wants legal immigrants. Okay, this has significantly less number of views, but I just need to take a topic, just randomly chose from the plethora of nonsense. Okay, prediction time. So I definitely think it's gonna be an immigrant. Okay, you wanna guess which country the immigrant from? I don't know, honestly. Probably from, I don't know, Pakistan. I don't know. But it's gonna be an immigrant talk about immigration. I feel it.
I'm a proud son of immigrants from Bangladesh. I was
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Bangladesh.
raised in New York City,
It's near.
which has benefited enormously from the energy and ambition of the millions of people born abroad who've chosen to make it their home. But I also believe that America's immigration system needs to work for America. And right now, that is simply not the case. We need a new immigration system.
What do you mean by that, bro?
So what should it be? We're often presented with 2 stark choices, severe restrictions or open borders. I think there's a better way.
Severe restrictions, open borders?
Or open borders.
Those are the only 2
I think there's a better way.
options.
But before I offer a solution, let's look at the usual suspects. The case for open borders is, on the surface, pretty attractive. Tens of millions of people around the world would be grateful to come to America for the chance to live in peace and earn a decent living. The vast majority of them mean us no harm. Why not give them a chance to share in the blessings of liberty? The simple answer is that our country is more than just a marketplace. We're a democracy based on
Get
the
some
social.
America, bruh.
Americans pay taxes so that, among other things, the poorest, most unlucky among us can still lead decent and dignified lives. If you can't work, you might be eligible for unemployment benefits or disability. If you do work, but your paycheck doesn't go far enough for you to afford medical
Is
care
he
or
gonna
food
talk about social security nets?
for your kids, we have a safety net designed to help you
Yeah,
stay
my
afloat.
bad. Safety
Liberals
nets.
and conservatives
As
disagree
you
on
see
how
how I
extensive
predicted that is. Oh my
this
God.
safety net ought to be, but they all agree it needs to be there. The question is, how far are we willing to stretch it? A century ago, immigrants who found they couldn't make it in America had little choice but to go back home. That is no longer the case. These days, immigrants who can't earn enough to support their families have access to many government benefits. That doesn't make
The direction he's heading is definitely he's going to talk about the unskilled workers. He's definitely going to speak about them.
them bad people. In an age of offshoring and automation, wages for menial jobs don't go very far. If we only admitted a modest number of low-skilled immigrants, say as political refugees, we could
There you go, man.
easily handle it. But over the past 40 years, we have allowed millions of low-skilled immigrants into
When you say millions, you're purposely using rhetoric to get your argument across. Okay, obviously there's going to be millions when you compare it with America's population. So, millions is not a big number, even compared with other countries. And another thing which is really important to know, that immigration affects economy in a good way in every possible side of economy. If you take GDP and even per capita GDP. So per capita GDP is an important thing. You can't take so much, but this is not even near the limit to be much. So if you take too much, it might affect the per capita GDP. That's the only problem if you admit too much. But other than that, there is no problem. It increases the wages as well. Economically, there are papers for everyone. So like it, and it gives more jobs and because more businesses and stuff. Only economical benefits can happen through immigration. Only benefits. Okay, the only case which conservatives can make is talk about low skilled, but low skilled immigrants are less compared to high skilled, and the benefits of immigrants outweigh the costs. Like that, high skilled workers outweigh the low skilled workers, and the low skilled workers also work, and they do not displace the people who already live in America. So there is no argument. There is zero arguments that could be made
into the country, both legally and illegally. While highly educated immigrants pay far more in taxes than they consume in benefits, the opposite is true of immigrants with less than a high school diploma. Immigrant engineers working for Google, Amazon, and Apple do just fine without government help. The immigrant janitors and busboys who serve them struggle to afford housing and to give their kids a decent start in life. Without government aid, many would go
these
hungry.
guys can only target the low skilled workers. That's the only.
If we were to open our borders, the number of
that's
low
not
skilled
even an
immigrants would
argument.
skyrocket, and so too would the cost of meeting their needs. Ironically, this would only exacerbate the wealth disparity that so animates the open borders crowd. Maybe the rich could wall themselves off in gated communities, but the growing ranks of the poor and even the middle class would have to deal with ever.
Is this guy somehow like, is he trying to point towards having gated communities?
Themselves off in gated communities. But the growing
and then this is literally redlining. This will lead redlining.
Ranks of the poor and even the middle class would have to deal with ever more strained social
Does this
services.
guy even know what? Oh my god.
That could provoke resentment strong enough to set off real class warfare. If open borders are a bad idea, so too is severely
how, like, I don't understand, right? How they even make these kind of topics and even spread this propaganda, bro. Like, they always create some magical problem. Even we saw with the DEI video and we saw with the Egyptian video, they create some kind of problem to go against these guys. And you see here as well.
If open borders are a bad idea, so too is severely restricting immigration. For one, immigration has always been part of the American story, and it continues to be an essential source of talent, from Silicon Valley to medicine to pro sports.
Yeah, I don't think this guy can.
Thankfully, there is a way to fix this
tell how to fix it, right? Please
problem. We can modernize the system to give priority to those who have strong skills and job offers.
Once again, I told you, there is no argument you can make.
In other words, who will pay more in taxes than they need in benefits. Today, we admit about 2/3 of immigrants on the basis of family ties, and only 15% on the basis.
This family tie thing is so stupid because of the amount of time it takes to admit a family member in the US. It takes so long and it requires so much money that the system is so broken. It shouldn't be fixed in the way he's saying to make it even more broken, but it should be fixed in a way so it makes people's lives easier. He's just doing the exact opposite.
Of skills. We need a course correction. We should limit family immigration to
I really think like these guys are given a script and he has to
immediate family members, such as spouses and minor children, while greatly expanding the number of skills-based visas. A skills-based point system would be a huge boon for people around the world looking to live the American
a bust, bro. Anyway, no, I can't, bro.
dream.